All right. Listen in as business experts reveal the how, the when, and the why of business, and they will share their secrets to success and profitability. Today's host is Dr. Sean Council Esquire, coming to you live on the True Honest Talk Show. So, please do me a favor and tell everybody about this podcast. Now it's showtime. So, come on, let's go. Okay, good morning, everyone. I am your host, Dr. Sean Council Esquire, and we have the great benefit of introducing Dr. Gregory Bailey Esquire. So he's similar to myself. We're both Esquires and doctors. And he's here today as my honored guest, and he will be discussing the Employee Retention Tax Credit. So listen up, everyone, and learn about how you can save a lot of money every year. And without further ado, let's introduce Dr. Bailey.
Good morning. How are you, Dr. Council?
I'm well, thank you. How are you this morning, Attorney Bailey?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk to your audience about the opportunity. And the opportunity is not going to last too much longer.
Opportunity for what, Doctor?
To participate in receiving tax credits based on the employees that you have employed during the pandemic. So for the year 2020 and the year 2021 up through the fourth quarter, you're going to be able to get tax credits. Now, when I say up through the fourth quarter, you won't be able to get it for the fourth quarter of 2021, but for 2020, you can receive approximately $5,000 per employee for 2020. And then for the year 2021, you can receive $7,000 per employee for the first 3 quarters. So that's up to $21,000.
That's a lot of money
per employee. And
that's a lot of money.
It is, because basically you could receive up to $26,000 per employee for the year 2020 and the year 2021.
Okay, let me ask you a couple questions so that the audience is aware of what you're actually talking about. And let me tell you, young people, young and old, and business owners alike, that Attorney Bailey is a licensed attorney in Georgia as well as in Connecticut. And we met decades ago, and we have the great fortune of doing some business transactions now. And he has a wonderful office located in Douglasville, Georgia. Why don't you give our audience your address, Attorney Bailey?
Yes, my address is 5682 Palazzo Way, Suite 101, Douglasville, Georgia, zip code 30134.
And audience, in particular, Dr. Gregory Bailey Esquire, and it's a mouthful, just like Dr. Sean Council Esquire is, but nonetheless, he's been specializing in business law and importantly in tax law. So he's a tax attorney. I am not a tax attorney, but he is. And so thus he finds this kind of work extremely interesting and challenging. And his goal, obviously, is always to make sure that he benefits, his representation benefits his clients, and that he helps them ultimately save as much money as they can on their taxes. And who doesn't want to save money on their taxes? I'd rather keep it than give it to Uncle Sam. And I'm sure many of you do as well. So with that introduction, why don't you tell us a little bit about how this particular tax credit came into being? Because I knew about it, but and you have to talk about the expiration date, but I didn't realize honestly how impactful it was, because at the time during the pandemic, I didn't have any employees. So I remember the provision, but I kind of passed over that, and I was looking for the stuff that was important to me. So why don't you give the audience a little bit more information, please,
Okay.
Bailey?
There were 2 different acts that have worked in harmony to give us the $26,000.
Okay.
First, there was the CARES Act,
yes,
passed during the Trump administration,
Correct.
And the CARES Act gave $5,000 per employee.
I remember that.
And that was for 2020. The good news is that you can still get the deduction now, even though we're long beyond 2020.
And was there an expiration date to that particular
The expiration date is fast coming upon us.
Okay.
It will be March, I believe the 27th of this year.
Oh, wow.
But what I would encourage you to do is between now and the 20th of March.
9 days.
Find a company that will process your employee retention tax credits. There are numerous companies that are available through the websites, through Google. You can Google them, Google Employee Retention Credit Advisors. They will assist you in processing your tax credit.
And what about the payroll companies? We talked about that.
Payroll companies,
their role in helping you file process the retention credit.
That's who would be responsible for getting your money back, is the payroll companies that you use. Your payroll companies may assist you in doing it. What I found is that they want to delegate that responsibility back to you.
Yes.
And won't take ownership of any of the paperwork not being processed properly.
And let me just say, audience, this is the case with other kinds of compliance forms that you as the employer and or plan administrator or the payroll administrator, you have to do yourself. And Attorney Bailey and I are old enough to remember when payroll companies used to do that kind of work for you as part of the fee that you pay them. However, what I've learned most recently is that they don't do that anymore. And they can really leave, unfortunately, the employer at a loss because A, they don't know, and then B, they could be penalized in some with respect to some forms and some filings that they didn't do. There's a penalty, and it's quite a hefty financial penalty against these employers for failing to comply and have their documentation comply with the various laws, whether they be the IRS tax code or ERISA or any state or municipal code for that matter.
Yes, they have shifted the liability to the employers. Mm-hmm. So not only do you have to worry about paying your employees every week and offering a product or service that other people want to buy, they want you to be responsible for taking care of the compliance issues with the Internal Revenue Service. So that's why I would encourage you to look for companies that are specializing in assisting you through this hurdle.
Can you name a few?
Pass through it.
Can you
name a few? I have one company that I can name right at this moment. It's called Leaf, L-E-A-F, Specialty Tax Consultants.
Okay.
And so they're just one company that I could give you, but I could give you a few more if you allow me to give that information to you a little later on.
Oh, that'll be fine. And so is that Leaf Specialty Tax? Tax what?
Yes.
Is that here in Georgia?
They have a website called leaftaxconsultants.com.
Okay.
And so you'll be able to find them on the website.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Hopefully that's helpful to our audience. And we know that time is of the essence, and the deadline's fastly approaching.
Yes, it's fastly approaching. I think we have 9 days. Yeah. Hopefully they're business days. The other thing I wanted to emphasize to you is that the employee retention tax credit for 2021 is more dollars. It's $7,000 per quarter per employee. So, so you potentially can get $21,000 for that.
Oh, wow. So is that on top of the other credit? So is it in addition to the other credit?
It's not in addition to the $26,000. It's in addition to the $5,000 per employee for 2020.
Okay.
Okay. And you're not hurt by having PPP funds that have come in. Okay. You can still claim it. Okay. So, but the tax consultant can really help you through the process.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So what prompted your interest in this particular topic? I know that you are a tax attorney. Is that correct?
That is true. And
what prompted your interest in this particular provision? Did you have a client that that came up and said this is happening, or that needed more information?
I even found that I was eligible for it for my firm. So
that was your interest, huh? Your driver.
Yeah, so that made it even more
critical.
Yes. Or where I was going to scrutinize it. You know, it isn't just something that you hear. You know, it's not a rumor. This is real.
Okay, great. So, is there anything else as we wrap up this particular topic that you'd like to tell the audience? And this has been such a wonderful and an enlightening experience. And it's important to know, and it's just so time sensitive. And we just hope everyone will be able to take advantage of it that's eligible. So what else would you like to tell our audience before we say goodbye?
Okay. One thing I wanted to make sure that we understood is that when you have tax credits, that they are a dollar for dollar reduction of your tax liability. Okay. So it's real money. It's not just like a deduction. Okay. So, if you had to pay payroll taxes of $20,000, you can receive a dollar for dollar reduction of that. So that's more money in your pocket as an employer or employee, or no, as an employer.
I'm sorry, I accidentally kind of talked over you a little. I apologize. Could you repeat that last point, and I'll make sure I be quiet.
All right. That is that the tax credits are a dollar for dollar reduction in your tax liability. So it literally is giving you money that you would otherwise have to pay out back. So that's why it's so important. It's much more valuable than a tax deduction.
Okay. And why? Okay. Why is it more valuable than a tax deduction?
The tax deduction, say, for example, you're in the 30% tax bracket. And in Connecticut, you may even be in a higher bracket.
Yeah, 35.
So you get a tax deduction. It could be worth 30%. So that's 30% on a dollar. So rather than you getting $5,000 back, it would be $1,500 on the fund for that year. If you had a $5,000 deduction, right? It'd be worth $1,500. Where a tax credit is worth the full value of $5,000. So it's a big difference between getting $5,000 and getting $1,500, right?
Yes, huge.
Yes. You can do a little bit more shopping.
$3,500.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's the reason why I like tax credits more than I like tax deductions.
Oh, absolutely. It's a dollar for dollar credit. And you get the full benefit of the entire amount, which is important. Absolutely. So that being said, why don't we just make sure that our audience knows how to reach you, and tell us your address again and your telephone number. Obviously anybody can call me or reach me, and I can also refer that person to Attorney Bailey as well. We refer things back and forth to each other, and we have a nice working relationship, so it's all good. So tell us again.
Okay. My address is 5682 Palazzo Way, Suite 101, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. My website is gtblegal.com, and my phone number is 404-397-0000. 1975. So I thank you very much, Dr. Council, for inviting me to share with you the employee retention tax credit information that I have.
Thank you as well for being my wonderful host and a wonderful colleague and someone I've known for decades. And hopefully we will continue to support each other and help each other for many, many years, even decades, because it's been 2+ decades now in the future. So thank you again for being my wonderful guest. And I'm sure we'll grace our audience with another fabulous topic to help their businesses grow, thrive, and profit, make money and profit. That is so important, and deliver good quality service to everyone, to our clients that engage us. So you've been a blessing. I appreciate you. And let's just say goodbye until the next time. And we will end with this nice little remark. Thank you for tuning in to True Honest Talk with your host, Dr. Sean Council Esquire. Please subscribe to my podcast so you will know every time I post a new episode. You can reach me on Instagram at True Honest Talk. That's TRUHONEST Talk. Until next time, please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay in